now we're here with how to go from your MVP to scaling a startup with Bubble, featuring the founder and CEO of InCharge, Shalicia Harris, founder and CEO of Broker Loop, Abdul Ramirez, founder and lead dev of Wash and Dry Fold POS, Brian Henderson, and co-founder of Zero Code, Levon Tertien. Thank you.
Welcome everyone to this panel, and thank you all in the audience, in person and online, for joining us here today. I'm really excited about the upcoming conversation because the topic of this panel is how to scale on Bubble beyond MVPs. And I think that a lot of people who want to start using the platform and those who just starting out on the Bubble journey are interested whether or not they can really scale their products beyond a prototype or an MVP. And today we have three amazing founders who not only build their businesses on Bubble, but also scale them way beyond MVPs. And I should say that they done it so without any technical background, and they completely bootstrapped their businesses. And we're gonna hear their stories, how they did it, and their learnings along the way. Before we jump into the questions, I'm gonna do a quick round of intros. We have right next to me Shalicia Harris. Shalicia is the founder of InCharge and TEDx speaker with a corporate background in innovation, marketing, and project management. She's a problem solver who turned her lack of financial literacy and poor financial services experience into her startup that's called InCharge. Next, we have Brian Henderson. Brian is the founder and lead developer of Wash, Dry, Fold POS, the point-of-sale system for laundromats. He also owns a chain of laundromats in Oklahoma named Liberty Laundry, which are some of the most top-performing laundromats in the country. And finally, we have Abdul Ramirez. Abdul is a founder of Broker Loop, which is a professional network and marketing platform for the real estate community. Abdul is an entrepreneur, strategist, sports junkie, and he's passionate about all aspects of technology. And without further ado, let's start with hearing your stories. Why did you choose Bubble as your tech stack? Were there any other contenders that you were choosing between? And also, did you have any doubts whether or not you should go with Bubble? Shalicia, would you go first?
Well, how I started on Bubble was I was looking for an opportunity to build the product myself because I'd recently lost $15,000 to a developer for a product that never worked. And I was just like, I can't go down that road again. And what eventually happened is I came across Bubble and some competitors, and scrolling on Instagram one day, Bubble said, anyone can build on Bubble. And I said, oh, well, I'm the one, so let's go. And that's really how it started. It was really to challenge Bubble to say, can anyone truly do it? Because I don't have a technical background. I've worked a corporate life, never came close to a code in any capacity, but was able to take my product from an idea, and within 5 weeks I had paid customers, and that was from me learning how to build on Bubble while building my platform in such a short period of time. So at the time, I don't actually remember who the competitors were. I just thought, hey, let me challenge this company on their marketing campaign, and here we are.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah.
Brian, what about you?
No, I haven't had any doubts about our decision to go with Bubble since we did, and it's become more firm over time. I mean, when we started, they didn't have option sets or the new responsive engine, and those have just come out over time, and so that's become more firm in our resolve on that. Really, what led us to Bubble was YouTube videos and the forum, and really just the general excitement about the product. It was kind of like, if this many people are this excited about it, and I can see in the YouTube tutorials myself how straightforward it is to get started, then that really helped. And so, really, we had a product in mind. We had a customer base already that we're already serving, but we knew that when it came time to build our own app, there was going to be a fair amount of exploration along the way. So not only is there cost of, if you have somebody else do the development for you, paying somebody else to do your discovery for you in development gets real expensive real fast. So I needed a way to do it in-house. I wanted to learn how to do it myself because I knew even post-launch of our first version, there was going to be a lot of iterations after that. And so again, that just all led right back to Bubble there. So.
Great. How long ago was that when you first started building on Bubble?
Very end of 2019, and then all throughout 2020. So we launched at the end of our MVP at the end of 2020.
Amazing. Abdul, what was your first acquaintance with Bubble, and how did it go from there?
Yeah, similar to Brian, 2019, I think Bubble came on my radar probably sometime in 2018. So Broker Loop was founded in 2011 on traditional code. So we built our marketing stack traditionally on that, and then we wanted to build a community. And I was doing some research, and no code became a thing. Not that I set out to specifically do this on no code. So it came on our radar about 2018. We were just like specking things out and just doing some research. Then 2019, a few things happened in my life, but Brokerloop-wise, my co-founder left the business, and it kind of just like fueled me even more to just say, all right, let's go really, really hard. So I said, I'm gonna take a bet on Bubble. I have nothing to lose per se, and let's see what they can do. And they said, hey, I could do this full stack. The question that we had was, can this exist with my existing code base? It's one thing to build from scratch, but the problem we was trying to solve, I think, for a newbie dev, right, I don't recommend anyone doing this, but doing it into an existing code base was pretty large. So, we pulled it off, and yeah, we're here today.
So you basically were forced to learn Bubble and build it.
Yeah, I had my back against the wall, really. I mean, if it didn't work out, right? Like if there was no Bubblecon, right? I don't know what we would do. We would have figured something else out. Probably would have built it traditionally.
Right.
But thank God, this is here, and we're all here.
Awesome. Let's now switch gears a little bit and talk about product market fit. What were the early signs of your idea being validated? Did you have to iterate a lot, and what was Bubble's role in helping you to iterate quickly based on the feedback that you were getting from the early users? Brad, could you go first on this one?
Sure, yeah. We actually didn't start out with building our own software. We started in 2016, but, and I don't know if Bubble wants me to say this, but there are situations where if you're not sure about the size of the market, or what price point it'll buy at and all that, maybe see if there's existing solutions out there that you can get started with, focus on seeing what kind of a market there is, and then go from there. And that's what we did. We actually were dealers of an existing product first, and established that, yeah, there was a need and there was a very hungry audience for this, and after quickly selling to a couple hundred businesses, that's what led us to building our own software. But by that point in time, we had a whole list of feedback and a wish list of features that we knew we wanted to add. And so when we did launch our app, we already had a whole list of several stores that were able to roll over to the new program, and we saw a very definite uptick in revenue from there.
Right.
So yeah, we kind of hit the ground running from that. And
amazing.
Launching really is just the start line. It's not the finish line with your MVP. We've done over 300 iterations and updates since then, so right. It's, yeah. But
got it, makes sense. Abdul, how many iterations did you have to make when you were building your product?
So I built our Bubble build 3 times.
3 times, you said?
3 times, 3 times. First time, just trying things. I didn't know what I was doing, trying to integrate, and we got something. Second time, a little bit better at my skills. I joined a program, Coach and No Code, so by the time I got there, I had a little fundamental, but they steered me in the right direction. Shout out to them. Then the third time was basically, my skills was a little bit better, just refining. So just want to add on to the product market fit. As a founder, actually, you're always chasing product market fit, right? You always got to consistently talk to your customer. Their needs are always going to change. So right now, everyone's like, oh, I need AI. What's my AI strategy in my business, right? So they're reaching out to you, right? So you got to go ahead and meet your product in the market and fit their needs. So you're always chasing it and stuff like that. So yeah, you always got to be ahead of the curve.
Right. Just want to clarify, how long did it take you to build and rebuild those initial versions of your product?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
How long did it take you to build and rebuild each of those versions? You said 3 times you did that.
Yeah, that's an amazing question, right? So the first time was always the hardest, right? Because I don't know the UI, I don't know all the functions, everything's like all foreign to me. Second time was a little bit better. The second time, the moat behind that was the new responsive editor. So I was like, all right, great. We were using our old responsive editor, and we had to do that. And we tacked on mobile. So we did our app in a wrap mobile app, which was good. So that's the second time. Third time, just refine it. So accelerate speed the whole way. So I think by the third time, I think I redid the whole thing in probably like a weekend. I don't know how long it took the first time.
That's amazing, just the weekend.
Yeah, just the weekend, because I knew everything, what we're gonna update. I'm pretty meticulous about like outlining what we need to do. So, you know, I don't like to say I think like a dev, I'm a developer. So, you know, I have those same practices, outlining, you know, scoping everything. So, you know, just getting really, really focused on that. So, yeah, I was able to do it in a weekend.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you. Shalisa, how long did it take you to validate your idea and know it's working? And does your product look today the same as the first version, or you changed it a lot?
So before I even built on Bubble, product market fit was a really important thing for me. So I work with financial advisors and financial institutions, and so they're always looking for customers. So I just pretended to be one of their customers for about 10 financial advisors. I didn't become a customer of any of them, but I wanted to sort of put them through their own customer experience. And after going through that with them, when they were sort of ready to sign me on as a customer, I said, hey, I'm actually not ready to buy from you yet, but what if we could alter this experience from this to this in terms of automation? How do we add value to the process for the customer and save you time on this? And 9 out of 10 of those advisors actually became my first paid users, and they referred it to 11 additional people. So at the end of the 5 weeks, because I did this around the end of December, because January is a really big time in financial services. So I said to them, hey, the platform's gonna be ready in 5 weeks. I didn't know what it was gonna take to build it, but they had already committed to me to being my first customer, to testing the product, and they brought on those additional folks, which landed 22 paid customers from the very first ugly version of my platform. And they kept spreading the word. And eventually I realized that if my customers are ready to tell somebody else about this product that, one, isn't the most beautiful or appealing product, but it's functional to them and it adds value to them and their customers, that's when I knew I had that real initial product market fit. But I also knew that I couldn't just scale a business on just this one feature. And so fortunately, a few months later, I was just doing cold calls and landed a very big pilot with a very big customer, big company. And through that pilot, I was able to build in 2 additional features within the first 2 weeks. And now those features are now, the 2 features plus the original one are now the top components of my platform. And that was figured out in the first 6 months of having the platform.
Right, that's great.
Yeah.
It's good that you didn't wait and build different features that you would think are important, but just pushed it to the market and listen to the feedback, right?
It was a needs-based approach versus what would you like to have.
Right, exactly, cool. Now, we talk about scaling, so I feel like we have to touch on some specifics of scale so that the audience would have some idea and context how big you were able to scale your businesses using Bubble. Abdul, I know your app is running on a dedicated plan. Can you tell us when and why did you have to make the transition? And maybe you could share any other metrics that would indicate scale of your company and business?
Yeah, so I think early on, probably month 3 in development, we chose to go dedicated because we had an existing user base already. I think we were somewhere, I don't know, maybe about 5,000 users or something like that. And I just didn't know what I was getting into with Bubble. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let's get a big enough cluster because I don't have time to deal with, going down or anything like that, DevOps related. So we went and dedicated, which was a great decision. So currently today, I think we're hovering, almost about 20,000 users, which is really good. Our system syncs to the Bubble database into Mongo back and forth seamlessly, which is really, really nice. So I feel really comfortable about actually everything, really. So it's scaling nicely. I think we're, set up to, scale. Hopefully, what we're looking to do is build internationally. So that's the ultimate goal. So I think, we're right there.
Great, cool. Brian, I mentioned in the intro that you own and operate a chain of laundromats, which are some of the top performing in the country. But how else would you define scale of your business? And
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, scale really kind of depends on your business. So there's obvious metrics like MRR and number of users, but with B2B SaaS, which is what we have, we sell to other businesses, other laundromats. It's not typically so much about the number of users as your app, but rather the level of economic activity that your app empowers. And one of the really fun metrics I've always loved about our app is that our software is used for tracking the production of drop-off laundry services. So as laundry is going through the wash, dry, fold service, which is why it's called wash, dry, fold POS, one of the fun metrics is the number of pounds of laundry that goes through our software. And in the first year, so we started 2016, we built this business, we had customers selling a different product, and then it was late 2020 when we launched our own app, and we worked our way up through the different subscription levels in Bubble, and it was March of 2023 when we finally switched over to dedicated after we had maxed out on each level there. But in the first year, I think it was about 150 laundromats that had rolled over to our new software when we launched that. We did about 2.5 million pounds of laundry through our software. Fast forward to today, 3.5 years later, we're doing about 2.8 million pounds per month through our software, and so it's just it's one of those fun metrics there. So
that's one of the most interesting metrics I've heard about scaling on Bubble, actually.
It's a lot of...
In terms of pounds of laundry.
It's a lot of dirty laundry there. Yeah, my empire is built on dirty underwear. That's right. But no. To date, we've sold about 1,000 point-of-sale systems with customers in all 50 states. So we're nationwide, and we're able to work totally remotely because of our app being cloud-based through Bubble and all that.
Cool. Shalisa, I know your customers include one of the largest financial institutions of the world, and I think, if I remember that correctly, you mentioned specifically fifth largest institution of the world is one of your clients, and that alone speaks to the scale of your company. Yeah. But what else could you share about your operations so we understand the scale? And also, was there something unique using Bubble to build a product that caters to enterprise clients of that caliber? If you could also tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of scale for me, just one massive customer makes a huge difference.
Right.
And with that, so they're not necessarily the fifth largest, but the fifth largest cooperative under their own category, just so the fifth largest doesn't come for me. But so from a scale perspective, working with big institutions like that, one, it's very, very long sales cycles. We're at the tail end of it right now, which is exciting. And two, from a scale perspective, they require a lot of things. And one of the biggest things they require is compliance. And a lot of companies obviously require compliance. But one of the biggest deal breakers, which Bubble was sort of right on par with me, was last year when SOC 2 was launched. And that made a huge difference in terms of the kind of customer that I can continue to go after. So being able to have a platform that can support me from such a robust industry standard from a security standpoint made it possible for me to actually move forward with this customer, because if it weren't for that, I could not have gone through the over a year-long process in terms of client acquisition to actually get to where we are right now. So from even a metric standpoint, it's taken us from about 100 users right now to immediately close to 5,000 users, which is almost like going from zero to millions of dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
And was SOC 2 important? That Bubble introduced that to work with large enterprise customers?
Yeah, it was a deal breaker.
Okay.
It was the deal breaker. It didn't matter how great our platform was. If I couldn't produce a SOC 2 certification of some sort or proof of having it. So as a secondary user of SOC 2, it's called SOC 3, which is also acceptable to them. It came truly in the nick of time I had to beg for one more month from them. So Bubblecon announced that SOC 2 was coming out in September of last year. So it really came in the nick of time.
It's perfect timing.
Yeah, it was.
All right. So there is general misconception that no-code tools are not good for building something big, and just for MVP and prototype. And we know that your companies have scaled. But have you ever considered in your journey to move away from Bubble? And if so, why? And what kept you from doing that?
You're going to start with?
Who wants to take that?
Shall I go first?
Sure, I'll go first. So I think if SOC 2 was truly the deal breaker, I would have to reconsider because the opportunity was there, the product market fit was there. Everything else was there except for the technology. Not the technology, but the security at that point, which the technology was sort of holding me back from. I would have to make that hard decision to invest in getting my own SOC 2, which obviously takes time to do as well. But that would have been a big deal breaker for me in terms of continuing to use Bubble. So yeah, I would say that would be the only moment. I've had a lot of investors, a lot of mentors, a lot of like tech people that have been in this industry for a long time not believe in the no-code journey and saying to me that a big institution would never ever consider using a no-code solution because they can just go and build it themselves. Well, here we are. One, they haven't built it themselves. No other financial institution in North America that I'm aware of have built a solution like this themselves. So here we are using it no-code and scaling with it.
Right. So SOC 2 was the only reason why you would have to move the...
Yeah, that would have been, and it's simply because of the customer that I was looking to serve. If I decided to serve smaller brokerages across the US and Canada, that they're a little bit more flexible on things like that. But when you serve major institutions like this, the standards are high.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Abdul, ever stayed up at night thinking whether or not you should move away to code and rewrite everything?
Yeah. I never considered like jumping off the platform. I always believed, even in the early days, I'm like, this is going to turn out to be something. I don't know why. I just felt it. But if you think about it, like you can build wrong using traditional code, right? So I don't believe that saying no code doesn't scale. It's like bad programmers don't scale, right? So if you build correctly, I think I did a lot of research and I was like, all right, what are the examples of apps that have been built on Bubble, right? And they weren't really at that time like huge successes. There was a few. I was like, okay, this is cool. I felt like what we were building was a little more complex, but people were building plugins and stuff like that, and that takes a lot of traditional code and a lot of know how to do so. So I was like, all right, there's something here. So let me keep digging. So just getting better, and I'm like, all right, if you build this right, it's going to scale. And we've had issues earlier. I'm like, man, this workflow, it's just timing out, things like that, because I just didn't know what I was doing. So getting in, studying, just like anything else, you just got to be at it. It's like a muscle. I'm actually almost in it every day. I think every day. And yeah, so yeah, I don't believe no code per se, or let's say Bubble doesn't scale. Bubble definitely scales. I don't know about the other guys.
Love it. Brian, did you ever have to stress out about potentially moving away from the platform?
No, I've not yet reached any limits with what I'm building. They say you need to, in order to get big with something, you need to love what you do, and I love building with Bubble. I really do. And we kept growing up through the different levels of subscription as our user base grew and our revenue grew and all that, until eventually we got to the point where it's time to switch over to dedicated. And I actually had a real serious question. It would have been a deal breaker for me. I needed to find out. Spoke with the support team and with the sales team, and I said, is moving over to, I guess it's called enterprise plan now, but dedicated hosting, is this something that Bubble does because that's its desired behavior for apps to grow and graduate to, or whatever you want to call it, to their own dedicated server, or is this something that the Bubble team has built just to kind of pacify apps that have outgrown the main cluster? And the answer I got was a resounding no. They're overjoyed when apps move to dedicated hosting. And they have put a lot of time and resources into making that transition as smooth as possible. And in fact, when you're on dedicated, there's some special tools you get. You don't get it on the main cluster, and it's nice. It was just, and that was my experience. The transitioning was so smooth, and it feels like I've unlocked the true horsepower of Bubble being on dedicated and being able to control when our Bubble engine updates, or if something goes wrong, we can roll it back if we need to, and on our own. And then really the only limit is in the physical hardware of our server, and we can increase that too if we need to. So
you're using dedicated plan as well?
Yeah. We've just not reached the limits yet. If I reach the limits, then I'll let you know. And then because our software and our solution is a point-of-sale system, there's a lot of hardware we interface with, and you and I were talking about that before. With plugins, some JavaScript, and a little bit of extra. The fact that you can extend the functionality of Bubble beyond the core thing allows you to get that little extra that you need, just enough. So that's what's worked well for us.
Amazing. And with that, our time is up. Thank you, everybody, for this conversation. This has been fun. Let's give it up once again to our panelists, Shalisa Harris, Brian Henderson, and Abdul Ramirez.